Hey, this is JC. Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban knife style and jungle survival. Today we're going to look at 3 Leatherman tools, and we're just going to discuss which tools in general from a Leatherman multi-tool is useful for bushcraft. First, if you watch this channel regularly but have not subscribed, please do so to help the channel out. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, do check out my shop links in the pinned comment or description below. You can even join as a channel member for exclusive content. Thanks a lot. Well, in this video, we're not really going to talk about the different models of Leathermans and which might be better for bushcraft. What we're really interested in is to have a look at the tool set and what tools might be useful when it comes to bushcraft. Honestly, I've been carrying a Leatherman for probably the past 6 months now. Originally, I used to carry a Swiss Army knife as my secondary tool. In fact, sometimes it's still in my emergency pouch. But on my belt, I switched out a Swiss Army knife for a Leatherman, and I chose the Rebar. I've had the Rebar for years, but for the outdoors, specifically in the jungle, I find that the Rebar is my preferred choice compared to, let's say, the Signal and the Arc or any other model. And the reason is because I find it slim, it's got a lighter weight to it, and I actually like the fact that the tool set is on the inside. Now, one criticism people have over the Rebar compared to, let's say, the Arc is the Arc has all the tools on the outside. This has it on the inside. Well, the way I view it is this is really my third knife in my kind of 3-knife system, or in fact for me, a 4-knife system. So I may have a saw, a parang, a fixed blade, and then I have my multi-tool. So this multi-tool is really to serve the purpose of a multi-tool, to fix gear, to get into places I can't do with a knife or a parang, or to really use items like the pliers or specialty tools to do certain things. So I'm not going to be reaching for this all the time. This is going to be on my belt, and when I need to use it, I can grab it. But if I needed a bladed instrument, it'll be my parang or fixed blade, which would be the first choice. I would hardly use the blade here unless I really want a very clean, slicey blade. Then I might use this. If not, I'm really using it for the tool set. And because of its slim profile and the weight, I choose the Rebar. But enough on that. Let's talk about the tool set. Of course, when it comes to a Leatherman multi-tool, it is the pliers that differentiates it from a Swiss Army knife. And the pliers, of course, can be very useful in the outdoors. If you have a hot pot on a fire, you can use it to grab it. If you need to grab something from the fire and you need to move it around, you can use a stick, or to grab it, you can use your pliers. And if you are repairing gear and you need to get into parts that your fingers can't fit in, again, the pliers would help. It comes with wire cutters, so if you make traps or work with steel cable, then you can cut that as well. So I think it's obvious what the use of the pliers are. It's definitely a very valuable instrument if you have it and you need it when you're out of the field. Let's look at the other tools, and obviously I think we can look at the blade. For the Arc, we have this Magna Cut black coated blade. The Signal has kind of a combo blade. You can see it's straight and serrated. Now for the Rebar, we both have a straight blade and we also have a serrated blade. Okay, that's the saw. Let's look for the serrated blade right over here. So you do have 2 blades for the Rebar. Of course, you don't use them at the same time. So in the outdoors, a serrated blade can be useful if you're cutting cordage or you're cutting something very fibrous. Then definitely a serrated blade can help. Again, I like this because they're 2 separate blades, so I can kind of split the duty between the two. For this, you have a combo blade, so you have only 1 blade in that sense. And then for this, you do not have a serrated blade for the Arc. We come to the next important tool I think that is valuable for the outdoors, and that's the saw. All these models have a saw. They vary in terms of their length, the design, and in this case the blade thickness as well, because the Rebar is the thinnest. However, I have tested saws across multi-tools. You can check out that video in the link in the card above or description below. I was really surprised by the abilities of this saw from the Rebar. Even though it seemed thinner, it worked really well. So you definitely want a saw for the outdoors, because processing wood, especially in the jungle, because it's always wet, it's humid, you need to process wood if you want to start a fire. It's very hard to find dry wood on the floor. Even dead standing requires processing. So if you require a saw and you don't have a independent saw like a silky saw, then a saw like that can be very useful. But of course, you are limited by the size of the branch that you can cut with this saw. Another tool that can be valuable for the outdoors is some kind of file, and mainly it's going to be used to sharpen your bladed items, whether it's your axe, your machete, parang, or even a fixed blade. So the Arc has a very nice file. So it's got a rough side, but it's also got that diamond plate. For the Rebar, it has a file, but basically just coarse on both sides. The Signal does not have a file, but what it does have is a knife sharpener here. So it does serve that purpose. So again, if you do not bring out a dedicated sharpening stone, then a file like this can be very useful for a multi-tool. Another tool that I think is essential for the outdoors, especially for bushcraft, because it can be very useful, is an awl. And preferably you have an awl which has a point. This allows you to drill into wood to make holes, or into a belt or fabric if needed. And all these three models all have an awl of varying designs, thicknesses, and shape, but they all serve that same purpose. So I always think that awl is good. Swiss Army knives also have awl for some of the models, and I think that's a very underrated tool for bushcraft. When it comes to repairing gear, whether it's electronic gear or just any gear with screws and bolts, then maybe a bit driver or screwdriver will be important. Now, personally for me, I think for the outdoors, I'd rather have a fixed screwdriver like this. In this case, I've got two options for a flat head and one for a Phillips head. And then for the Signal and the Arc, and other models, you do have this interchangeable bit driver. So the thing about this, you need to carry an extra set of bits, and then you need to switch them in and out if you need. Personally, I would make sure I have the bit, and I'll use a double-sided bit actually, and I'll make sure I have the bits that I need to fit equipment that I'm bringing out. So rarely will you be out in the jungle or the outdoors where you need a screwdriver for something that is foreign to you. Now, it might happen to you, but if you're doing like bushcrafting adventures, that's more unlikely. So check your gear, whatever it might be, and figure out exactly what sort of screws you might need to tighten, and then have those bits handy for you, and make sure that your fixed bits or fixed drivers will work as well. Personally, I prefer fixed drivers. I don't want to deal with loose bits that may either come out or may drop even when I'm doing, the interchange. But it's really a personal choice, and it depends on the ultimate model that you choose. But screwdrivers definitely can be very useful to repair gear. So just some final thoughts on the Leatherman. Now, all of them have can openers. I would think in the past that would be more important, especially if you bring out canned food. Not so much now, but if you do need to open cans, then obviously all of them would have can openers. Now, these two models actually have hammers. So the Signal has this hammer, and for the Arc, this is actually also a hammer that you can use to hammer in tent stakes, or maybe even, I guess small nails you could. If you're not worried about damaging your Leatherman, you could hammer in small nails as well. So if not, mainly for tent stakes, whether they're metal or wood. So just additional functionality within the Leatherman. But I think overall, when I think of a Leatherman or multi-tool for bushcraft, I'm thinking about wood processing and general camp tasks. I want to make sure that the Leatherman can support in all the maybe food prep, opening out packagings, cutting cordage, and all these kind of small little tools that I may not use my bigger fixed blade or parang to use. And it also should be able to assist in fire preparation and fire making in the event I need it as a backup or emergency tool. I do see the Leatherman as a support tool or a redundancy tool to support whatever tool set I'm bringing out, but I would want it to be able to make a fire. And if I can use the tools with a Leatherman to make a fire, then that's a definite win in my book. So we've got the fire lay set up. We've got some feather sticks as well as some natural jute inside. This will be our kindling, and these are small pieces of wood all splintered apart. Hopefully it's dry enough to catch fire. Got a stick of fat wood inside as well. I'm going to use more jute as a bird's nest to start the fire with a ferro rod and the rebar. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on exploring the tools of a Leatherman multi-tool and how it may aid in bushcraft. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have a favorite tool, or do you have a favorite Leatherman model that you like to bring out when it comes to bushcraft and the outdoors? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.